All right, Sunday Comics, which is never going to be on Sunday, apparently. Let's talk about the TV shows, and then we'll talk about the comics that I read this past week. Agatha All Along, the last two episodes. The episode leading up to the finale was good. I thought it was a good episode. The finale episode, not so much. A lot of people are complaining that we never got Agatha's background. We did. It just was unsatisfying. We know exactly her motivations. We know exactly where her rage comes from, where her resentment comes from. If you put it all together, we understand that character. It's just not an interesting character once you understand her. That being said, there's a lot that can be done with her influence on Wiccan. So I think that's a good starting point. I don't think the ending point of the series, though, was satisfactory. I think the episode, the penultimate episode, should have been the finale. That little extra episode should have been listed as an extra episode. And maybe it was in the writing, but at least in the storytelling, the way that it's presented on film, it was not. So the last episode was very unsatisfying for me, but we now have a full understanding of Agatha, and I don't really see what her role is going to be in the future. In other words, not as in that character won't still be there. I think he will be talking to Agatha. I don't think the actress is going to come back. Or if she does, she shouldn't come back because that is a very diminished role from what she was in WandaVision and what she was in Agatha all along. Yeah, we explained away the bad sets. Yeah, we explained away the awkward storytelling. But all that should have been explained away in the first episode, and it should have been hinted at. So that way the audience is in on the joke, and that way the people who didn't like the show would understand that these things that they didn't like were on purpose. Because they didn't know that, they were just trashing the show, which the show did not deserve to be trashed. It was a good show. It's a decent 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 show. Is it the greatest show of all time? No. Is it a good show? Yeah, it's a fine, average, good show. It's a C grade show. Nothing wrong with that. I watch C grade and B grade shows all the time. I love Lost Girl. I loved Farscape. I loved Forever Night. There's nothing wrong with Highlander or Renegade. These kind of shows used to be called syndicated shows back in the day, and they would air after 12 midnight, and they would air on NBC, and they were fine. They were good shows. They were fun. USA Network had them. TNT had them. I loved these shows growing up. So there's nothing wrong with it here. It's very appropriate, but it wasn't advertised properly. And it didn't give enough indicators for what the show was. So the audience that was already hostile to it or doubtful of it never got a chance to embrace it. This happened with Transformers 1, where the advertising for it was horrendous, and that really hurt the performance at the theater. The other show to talk about is, of course, Lois and Superman. Good episode. Superman was finally acting like Superman. I know that the budget is limited. I know that it's their last season. I don't like that they don't have the other son, whose name I can't even remember. I don't like that they don't have him using any superpowers. I get it, you got a budget, but you could at least have him use his superpowers off screen. You know what I mean? Like something. So that's kind of a disappointment. I do love that Jonathan's coming into prominence. I do want Jonathan Kent to be a character, but there's no room to make Jonathan Kent either bisexual or pansexual, whatever it is in the comics. There's no room for that in the series now. While with the other character, they had already set up a lot of that alternate, now main character, Superboy. I know that there's now 2 Superboys, or maybe even 3 Superboys in the comics now. I got that over here. Let's talk Penguin. Penguin was amazing. This episode was intense. It was great. I don't like that they had Vic disappear for the entire episode. I do wish they had had a little teaser at the very end where Vic's just standing in front of any. It doesn't matter where he's standing, just standing in front of something. Or if they had done a few more fake outs. Like instead of having the mom be in the back of the vehicle, instead of that fake out, have it be Vic in the back of the vehicle to see if Penguin honestly does care for Vic. Because if you can show him honestly caring for Vic, and I know that's what that was supposed to be when that, well, I guess it was probably the actor's stunt double, comes running up to Penguin. He's like, Vic. And he's like, no, it's not him. I guess I was supposed to show that, but it didn't show it. I think it would have been cooler to do the fake out of someone who looks like Vic in the back of the trunk, and then have it not be Vic and have him be like, oh, thank goodness. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So that way the betrayal, because you know the betrayal's coming, that way the betrayal next episode is even more impactful. That he betrays Vic is like, oh, it's not just betraying Vic, it's betraying himself. I think that would have been cool. They didn't do that. Sophia was excellent. The death scene of Sal was perfect. I love that they took it away from Penguin. I know some people think that Penguin still won. No, no, Penguin didn't win. That's what's so great about it. The victory was stolen from him, which just is great. In the comic books, Penguin is one of the few good guy bad guys. There's like three good guy bad guys. There's Catwoman, of course, who's now pretty much become a superhero at this point, or anti-hero. There's Clayface, who has an aspect of him that is a good guy, and then there's Penguin. Penguin is a good guy, especially in Gotham City Sirens. He's not outright evil. So I want them to play with that, and I don't think they're going to. I think they're gonna make him completely evil by the end of the season, and then put him into the movie. But I don't think the movie can pay off the development that has happened in this show. And I say that based on what happened with WandaVision. WandaVision developed Wanda well beyond what Multiverse of Madness could pay off. She was just developed so well, and she was such a perfect character that the movie version of her diminished what the TV show had done for that character. So that is a danger there. Let's talk comics real quick. Let's get through the Batman stuff first. So we have Detective, where Bruce's dad may or may not have an adopted son, which would be the son of, I can't think of his name right now. Chill. It might be Joe Chill's son, might be Bruce's adopted brother. We've already done this with Thomas Wayne, so I kind of feel this is kind of repetitive, but it's well written, though it's a bit overwritten. Still a good issue. I recommend 4 out of 5. Let's get to... Okay, Batman 153. This had way too much dialogue for me. I'm going to be really, really honest. And I'm assuming the brother in this one, referenced at the end, is going to be Joe Chill, which is what's set up over here. So I think these two are going together in storyline. I don't know that. Maybe they didn't talk to each other. Maybe the writers are just doing their own thing. DC's kind of a mess right now. But it's good to see DC firing on all cylinders again, because I really missed having Batman and Superman in my life for the last 2 years. Like, the comics were really bad. So I'm glad that they're back to going on full steam. Hopefully they don't take like a weird turn and go back to crap, because I don't like the Tom King stuff. So I'm just going to be blunt. All right, let's see. This one seemed unrelated to the other two completely. This is mostly a Damian story, although Bruce is heavily featured. And if Batman and Robin becomes more focused on Robin, I'm okay with that. You know, I don't mind it being a Robin-centric story and Batman being the supporting cast, being a regular supporting cast member. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this one. Damian is a little bit younger in here than he seems to be in some of the other comics depicting him. So I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe this is a slightly different timeline, because Bruce also seems to be in a different situation here than he does in the other two comics. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's just, like I said, I don't know if all the writers working on Batman are talking to each other or not. Let's get over here. So, Action Comics, 1070. It was a good issue. It really felt like everything was coming back to form. It was good to see Jimmy Olsen. It was good to see Superman being Superman. And I'm going to be really blunt. The story that I like much better than the main story is the Supergirl storyline. The Supergirl storyline, Universe End, is really good. It's a really good Supergirl story. It's a really good Superman story. It's good. I like it. And I mean Superman the brand, not Superman the character. We have Action 1071, which is more Superman being Superman. You have the alternate Superman. Is it the DCU or DC? Is it the DCU Superman that's in here? That isn't that great. You have the Superboys playing baseball, which is kind of cool. And I actually didn't read it carefully enough. Now I got to go back and read it again. That's okay. That's okay. And Mon-El shows up at the end, which is cool. But again, what I enjoyed most here was the Supergirl backup. So the Supergirl backup was amazing. We're almost done. We have Action 1072, which is... But yeah, I mean, it's great to have the Superboys all back together again. My favorite Superboy is Connor Kent. There's just no way around it. I think that's the best Superboy. And I think young Jonathan Kent was a good addition to the team and gave a nice parallel between Batman and Superman. But okay. And again, the Supergirl storyline is my favorite part of this. I might go ahead and do the new graphic novel of Supergirl after all. We'll see. We have another issue I didn't read carefully, but Superman Action Comics is going great. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I do miss some of the classic stuff, but that's okay. And again, the universe and Supergirl backup is my favorite part of this issue. Okay, that's it. Talk to you all later. See you next week.